Not going to lie, Guild Wars 2 is dead. Pretty much a dead game on life support with a skeleton crew that's out there to just keep milking the cash shop. I agree with the volume of memes in this video, and ESO is dead. Nobody cried though. Dead game? True, boys. 1300 players is considered well past dead for an MMO. Dead genre, USA MMORPG players are tards that will rage on anything that isn't WoW. I'm pretty sure this game will be dead in 5 years' time. Here's today's topic of discussion. Welcome to my video. Over the past year, I've covered off a multitude of MMORPGs, and there is always that one person commenting, "This game is dead." And it's not to say that these people are wrong, it's just that the word dead has so many different connotations when it comes to game development. So for the purpose of today's video, when I predict a MMO to be dead in 5 years' time, is that I predict that one of the following things might have occurred. The devs have given up, will not do any new updates, the game is in maintenance mode, it is practically on life support, it has less than 1000 concurrent players, and the servers have been well and truly shut down. And you might be wondering, why am I even making this video? Well, it's simple. I'm an opinionated prick. But not only that, I'm starting to become quite a connoisseur of dead MMOs, and I feel like the ones I'm going to name today are doing everything wrong to get themselves shut down. Also, shameless plug, a couple of weeks ago I did a similar video to this called Why Did These MMOs Die? And I go into a deep dive into some classic MMOs which sadly got shut down. Because that's what we do here on this channel, we look at dead MMOs and games that were relevant 5 years ago. Like and subscribe. And with that clarification out the way, let's begin with the first MMO that I think will be dead in 5 years from now. So I'm not here to bash on New World, but let's be honest, does anyone see this game having a future in 5 years' time? To say that this title has lost steam would be an understatement, and hell, even some of the top content creators of this game are saying it's in a downward spiral. And it's not like the community hasn't noticed either. Just the other day there was a Q&A with the devs, and I have to say the questioning was very harsh but fair, but the way the devs dealt with it was fucking abysmal.
There are many concerns that we are giving up on the game, that we don't care, that we aren't communicating enough about, our delayed Season 5 release. The list is extensive. So in the spirit of using community feedback to create better games, what can you tell us? Why do we have to wait until June? And will there be any news about upcoming features before then?
So first, nobody is giving up on the game from the developer standpoint.
Note that they said from a developer standpoint. They didn't say from Amazon's standpoint, but a developer standpoint.
We are working long hours and really hard toward a big goal this year, which we can't wait to share with you in June. It destroys us that we can't give you the information that you want. We'd love to talk about this, but sometimes you have to look at what's best for the long-term health of the game against some of the short-term gains. And it's awful, and I know it's not what you want to hear.
The 2024 roadmap for New World was probably one of the worst roadmaps I've seen. It was very lackluster, it had stuff on there which should have been in previous seasons, and the general consensus was it wasn't enough. It's worth noting that this roadmap isn't for the whole year, but they haven't even hinted at a new DLC or anything even remotely exciting. The fact that they still choose to remain silent is just crazy. There's no hype around this game anymore, and yet they don't even want to try and give it inkling as to what might be coming. New World used to be very PvP centric, but over time they've moved towards more PvE content because, let's be honest, that's where the big bucks apparently are. And this has left the player versus player community feeling very neglected. Like, why has there only ever been one OPR map since launch? It's just nuts.
Why has there been such a lack of investment into the PvP aspect of your game? Is it down to resource management, player data?
Yeah, so before we launched, like way back, New World was a PvP focused game, and we listened to the players at that time, and we adjusted, and we actually made it more PvE focused based on that feedback. And what we see is the majority of our players are PvE focused. We do have PvP players though, and we do have different modes for them. And moving forward, it's definitely something that we want to invest in.
And as you just saw, they said that most of the players are PvE focused. It's not like you have to grind the fuck out of PvE to do any PvP in New World. And it's not like you have to spend all your day waiting for a 3-hour slot to do open world PvP. What I actually take away from this is that there's not enough PvP content, so all the PvP players have left, and you're now left with a Care Bear farming simulator where you go around chopping down trees. I wonder if they count all the bots as PvE players. Once again, they are rinse and repeating the server merges because servers are becoming unpopular, so they just start merging them all together, and we know full well that's a very healthy thing to do, and certainly doesn't hide the fact that they're in dire need of having a mega server for each region. That's me being sarcastic, by the way.
Ha! The British have such an advanced sense of humor.
I think the fact that they added controller support to the 2024 roadmap shows the direction they're trying to go in. I generally think they're going to try and release this on console, and by doing so, it could give them a bit of a cash injection. I mean, think about it, 200,000 people buying a new MMO for $40 a piece. That's a lot of cheddar. And everyone knows that console players are starved for a good MMO, so they're going to lap it up. But not only that, by being cross-platform, it makes the actual title more desirable to anyone who wants to invest or potentially purchase this IP. And you probably sat there thinking, why would Amazon ever sell New World? And the simple fact is, it's been leaking cash since day one. And I get the feeling, me and everyone else gets the feeling, that they are focusing more on the Lord of the Rings MMORPG that is currently in development. And we've seen this in the past with other titles. NCSoft are infamous for doing this, but essentially they pull all the resources off the old IP to make them work on the new IP, and from a financial standpoint, it's just not worth paying for the resources to keep the old MMO up and running. In the long run, they'll just rather sell it on or just close it down. In the short term, I reckon they'll use New World as a testing ground for the new Lord of the Rings IP, but in the long term, I just don't see this having any legs. Let's be honest, the lore isn't that captivating, they lost their core audience, and it's just been leaking since day one. I think this one's a bit obvious, but of course, with Amazon making a new Lord of the Rings MMORPG, it doesn't really give Lord of the Rings Online much of a chance of survival. Lord of the Rings Online, or LOTRO for short, has been on a decline since day one, if I'm being honest. It was there to compete with WoW. WoW obviously won, and currently it maintains a very niche, small audience. The issue is they never try to update themselves for the times. They've always tried to remain a classic MMORPG, which is all well and good, but in this day and age, everyone wants UE5, flashy graphics and animations, all of which I'm sure the new Lord of the Rings MMO will provide. Standing Stone Games are the publishers behind this title, and they've already addressed the concerns of the new MMO, and they have no plans to shut Lord of the Rings Online down. But that's not to say that all the players won't just up and leave. Standing Stone Games also has Dungeons & Dragons Online under their belt, so I do believe in what they're saying, that they are just going to probably keep it running until the end of time. But with a tiny population as it is, any amount of player loss is going to obviously have a big impact. And let's be honest, the only way you could resist a brand new Lord of the Rings MMO is if you were Frodo himself, with your whole fellowship holding you back from ever trying to play this title. So, sorry LOTRO, I just don't see you surviving this one. Not through lack of trying though. Now this one's going to piss a lot of people off, and they're just going to say I'm picking on this game, I need to get over it. But this is more from an educational standpoint as to why I'm predicting it's going to die in 5 years' time.
You having an unnatural allegiance to losers is not like you.
Unlike the players of this title, I've been able to leave Tamriel and actually have a look at the bigger picture. And there's two key things which I think are going to have a major impact on the Elder Scrolls Online. Number one, and it's the most obvious one, the Elder Scrolls 6. We know the Elder Scrolls 6 is a single player RPG, so it's not even the same genre as the Elder Scrolls Online. But that's the dumb thing about the Elder Scrolls Online. The majority of people who play it play it as if it was a solo game. You have people who will literally go out of their way not to interact with other players in a MMORPG. And I just have to say to all those people doing that, I fucking hate you. You are ruining the genre. And the one thing that has happened to the Elder Scrolls Online over the years is that it's actually shifted its player base. It's been focusing more on easy content to get new players in and to create this wholesome Care Bear experience. I would guess that over 50% of the Elder Scrolls Online player base are probably middle-aged, don't have time to actually grind or do anything difficult in game, single player questing, listening to the lore, and just generally playing the wrong fucking game, if I'm being completely honest. Seriously, just go play fucking Skyrim or the best Elder Scrolls game ever, Oblivion. Why are you playing the Elder Scrolls Online as if it's a first-person RPG? What is wrong with you? And number 2, ZeniMax themselves have already announced they're working on a new MMORPG. And in leaked documents, you can see that there's going to be a revenue drop in the Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76, but why would a new MMO affect their revenue? Unless they're predicting a smaller player base for some reason, or better still, they're moving resources away from these titles and perhaps not investing as much into chapters, DLC and the cash shop. Maybe. And the player base has already noticed that there's been a severe lacking quality of the content that's been given in recent years. Truth be told, the feeling and general consensus is they've already started to move the resources away from the Elder Scrolls Online onto Project Kestrel. This year's new chapter is introducing spellcrafting, which was actually supposed to be in the game 9 years ago, but for whatever reason it didn't happen. So all they've done is go back 9 years, take an old mechanic, and now polished it up and claimed it's new, shiny, and is going to be revolutionary. Not forgetting the fact that they didn't put it in the game because it was broken and flawed. They also seem to be slower at getting content out. For example, the Endless Dungeon they introduced last year, it was teased very early on, but obviously took all that time to produce that it went past the chapter. And it's the same again this year with the companions and the new PvP non-Cyrodiil feature. And obviously compared to the High Isle chapter, you're getting less for your money. I think it's hard to argue that the quality of the chapters and DLC has gone up. If anything, it's stagnant, if not worse. And it just goes to show that the resources clearly have started to move over. You can definitely tell that the player population has dropped over the years, but unfortunately the only statistic you get from them is that there's apparently 23 million players. Next you're going to tell me that the Twitch viewers are all legit and there's no embeds or view button. Honestly. So in 5 years time, where will they be? I honestly don't think there's enough free play weekends and Dorito advertising to keep this afloat in the future. Bear in mind this is running on a 10-year-old game engine which doesn't perform on the best of days. It has constant lag issues, it has constant bugs, and there's so many exploits and glitches that they just really need to revamp the whole game, which they just aren't going to do. In 5 years time, there could potentially be Unreal Engine 6. Are you really going to want to play a game which is on a 15-year-old game engine? My prediction, a very small player base, or potentially Elder Scrolls 2. Honestly, I don't even know at this point. I honestly find it hard to believe that in 5 years time people will still be picking this MMO over so many others. And let's be real for a moment, if the lore alone was enough to keep a MMO alive, well then surely Lord of the Rings Online would be doing better and Star Wars would be thriving. I'm not going out my way to be a prick, but I do seem to be picking games with die-hard communities, and I am sorry, it's just what I've noticed, okay? But Star Wars The Old Republic does have the potential to not be around in 5 years' time. And it's for one main reason, and that is if a new Star Wars MMO actually gets released. There are, of course, rumours that Project Kestrel is a Mandalorian MMO, and to that I say, no. Stop being stupid, alright? I've talked about this a million times before, but trust me bro, if this was a Star Wars MMO being created by ZeniMax, there'd be so much hype around it, you'd have heard more news about it, and they wouldn't be predicting it to not make that much revenue. So, it's not, okay? Hopefully someone else does it, but it's not ZeniMax. However, that's not to say someone else out there isn't developing a Star Wars MMO. With the EA exclusivity contract coming to an end, it opens the doors up to other big game publishers having a go at it, and it's one of the biggest IPs out there. It seems criminal that there isn't a new Star Wars MMO. So simply this, if a new Star Wars title is made, it will kill any and all competition, including Star Wars The Old Republic. Soz, but truly not soz if that happens. And now for the honourable mentions. The following MMOs have the potential to be closed down in 5 years' time. And just hold on for my reasoning as I reel off the list of MMOs. Hack's Day, Ashes of Creation, Blue Protocol, Arcade 2, Throne and Liberty. What I'm trying to say is, any new MMO or any MMO in development has the potential to be shut down after a year, let alone 5 years. There have been so many good MMOs in the past which have just simply died out because they had a rough start, which is why New World is truly remarkable that it's still going, and probably will die. Basically, I could have made this video like 40 minutes long and listed every new MMO coming out or every Kickstarter MMO, but you get the point. All new MMOs are potential failures. There have been plenty of AAA studios who have fallen flat on their face over the years. But despite my prediction that some of these MMOs will be dead in 5 years, just remember, does a game truly die if you can pirate it and put it on a private server? But anyway, thank you for watching this video. I just wanted to have a little discussion about some of my thoughts and feelings, and I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below, so don't be shy now. Let me know if you think I'm talking utter bollocks, or whether you think I might have a point. And yeah, list some MMOs that I should probably try before they die. And please, I welcome the feedback as to whether you even enjoy these discussion videos, or should I just stick to reviewing one MMO at a time? Let me know. But anyway, on that bombshell, I'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye for now.